What is up, book nerds? My name is Hillary and welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a decent sized book haul. I have 3 stacks here. This stack over here is all the books that I've collected from Book of the Month for 3 months, 3 or 4. These other ones are just books that I've collected over the past 3 or 4 months and have decided to tell you guys all about them. I'm so excited. Some of these I have read. Some of these I am excited to get to, but without further ado, grab a drink and let's get right on into this book haul. Before we do though, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button and you'll be the first to know when I am uploading videos. So in the first giant stack here that I have are all the Book of the Month books that I have gotten, like I said, the past couple of months, and I'm excited to go through them with you. The first one I'm going to be talking about is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I have read this. I read this for Halloween, and I had a blast reading it, but it's not as good as his other books that I have read, from Final Girls to, what else have I read? Home Before Dark, and there was one other one that I can't really think of right now, but I will say this one was better than Survive the Night by him. If you don't know, this is about a girl who moves into Across the Lake after her husband passed away and her family brings her back. All of a sudden something happens and she's trying to find this guy's wife who she's become friends with, and she believes that he's killed her, so she's trying to solve this case. It had a lot of twists and turns and things that I did not see happened in this book, and I'm glad I read it, and I believe I gave this one 3 stars. The next book that I have here is one that is a very anticipated book of mine this year because I love this author's debut novel, and Excuse the Fly. And that book is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I am, like I said, ecstatic to get to this one. I really liked The Love Hypothesis by her and had a blast reading it. This one says, like an avenging purple-haired Jedi bringing balance to the mansplained universe, I'm not even going to attempt to say that last word, or that last name, lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? If NASA offered Marie her dream neuroengineering project, she would accept without hesitation. Duh! But the mother of modern physics never had to co-lead with Levi Ward. Sure, Levi has soul-piercing eyes, and sure, he caught her in his powerful corded arms like a romance novel hero when she accidentally damseled in distress on her first day in the lab. But Levi made his feelings toward Bee clear in grad school. Arch enemies work best when employed in their own galaxies far, far away. Now her equipment is missing, the staff ignores her, and Bee finds her floundering career in somewhat of a pickle. Perhaps it's her occipital cortex playing tricks on her, but Bee could swear she can see Levi softening into an ally, backing her plays, devouring her with those eyes, and the possibilities have all her neurons firing. But when it comes time to actually fake a move and put her heart on the line, there's only one question that matters. What will Bee do? This sounds so good, and I have really been into the romance era right now, and this one just seems like a fun book to read, and they're easy to get through. The next book in this stack is Small Angels by Lauren Owen. I believe this is kind of like a gothic literature book. It was one that my mom saw, and we do a book club, so she kind of talked me into getting this one. I'll read a little snippet of it. It says, in a hypnotic tale of sisterhood, first love, and hauntings, a wedding in a small English village stirs up unsettling magic and forces a troubled family's secrets out into the open. If I can read. This one sounds really good, and just the whole magic, it sounds like there's going to be witches in it, and I'm all for that, especially this time of year when it's fall, going into Thanksgiving. I have really been into reading these kind of books. The next book that I'm reading is one that I'm currently in the middle, well, not quite the middle of, but started, and it is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This is an interesting read because it's more of when you're in troubled times, you always say, please, whoever's out there, I'll do anything to do it. And in this, there is someone who answers those calls. There are 6 levels in hell where these people work, and when someone makes an offering, peyote goes and offers them a deal, yet they don't know the full terms of this deal because they never read the full contract of it. So it's very interesting, and I'm in part 2 of it, and I'm excited to see what else happens in this book. This was one of last month's pick, and I am reading it for the book club also, and am really enjoying it. The next one is a book that I DNF'd, which was a pick from last month, and I was really hoping to like it because it sounded like it was going to be so funny, but it wasn't what I expected. And that book is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. I just could not get into this book. I made it halfway and decided to not finish it, but I still counted as I read it because I made it halfway. It's about these assassins who are retiring, and all of a sudden their lives are on the line because someone made up a rumor about them, and the place that they worked for is trying to kill them. I really thought this was going to be like a Charlie's Angels kind of book where it was going to be funny with some action pack in it with older women, but it wasn't, and it was kind of disappointing. So I'm most likely going to end up putting this in my unhaul pile for the next time I do an unhaul. I am so excited to talk to you about this next book that I have. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 star. It was my recommendation to read this for my mom and my sister-in-law's book club that we do, and we all absolutely loved it because it kept us guessing until the very end. And that book is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This is about a serial killer, and this girl's dad is accused 20 years before this story takes place of being a serial killer, and you're finding out in present day that things are happening again, and it seems like the serial killer is following her and putting all these bodies or like their possessions around her, and you're trying to figure out who the new serial killer is. It took me on this crazy ride. I absolutely loved it and would recommend it to anybody who is trying to get into thrillers. And yeah, like I said, I gave it 5 stars. The next one seems like a fun, witchy kind of book to read, and that is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. This was also one of last month's pick, and it's a romance, and I think they said this is the sequel to The Ex-Hex, I believe. And I've heard nothing but great things about it, and it's a short read, and I'm excited to get to it. It says on the inside, the follow-up to Erin Sterling's best-selling hit, The Ex-Hex, features fan favorite Gwen and the spine-tinglingly handsome Wells Penhallow as they battle a new band of witches and their own magical chemistry. This sounds like a fun read. I need to get The Ex-Hex to read it and see what I think about it because I love books about witches, especially if they're romances. This other one is an older book by this author, but I haven't read this one, and I've been excited to read it, and that is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I've heard if you've liked Home Before Dark, then you will really love this one by him. And this one says, no visitors, no nights spent away from the apartment, no disturbing the other residents, all of whom are rich or famous or both. So I think this is about a house sitter who goes and watches this house for this family, and things start happening in this house. And that's all I really want to know going into this, because a lot of times I feel like if you read like the synopsis of the book, then it gives a lot of the stuff away that happens in the story. So I'm going in blind on this, and I'm hoping I love it because it's been a while since I have loved a Riley Sager book like I did Home Before Dark. And then last 3 in this stack are ones from this month that I picked. I am excited to get to all of these, and the first one I want to talk about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This one is love stories, and like I said, I am in my romance phase right now, but it says, their love was supposed to last forever, but when life delivered blow after devastating blow, Yasmin and Josiah Wade found that love alone couldn't solve or save everything. It couldn't save their marriage. Yasmin wasn't prepared for how her life fell apart, but she's finally starting to find joy again. She and Josiah have found a new rhythm, co-parenting their 2 kids and running a thriving business together. Yet, like magnets, they're always drawn back to each other, and now they're beginning to wonder if they're truly ready to let go of everything they once had. Soon, one stolen kiss leads to another, and then more. It's hot, it's illicit, it's all good until old wounds reopen. Is it too late for them to find forever, or could they even be better the second time around? I'm excited to read this one, especially when it deals with a married couple and they're getting a second chance at love for each other, and I think it's going to be a great read. This next one is also a new release, and I believe it's a thriller or horror. Can't remember what they said online, but that book is White Horse by Erica T. Worth. Like I said, I've been into romance, thrillers, or horrors, and this one sounds really good. It says, some people are haunted in more ways than one. Heavy metal, ripped jeans, Stephen King novels, and the occasional beer at the White Horse have defined urban Indian Carrie James's life so far. But when her cousin Debbie finds an old family bracelet that once belonged to Carrie's mother, it inadvertently calls up both her mother's ghost and a monstrous entity, and Carrie's willful ignorance about her past is no longer sustainable. Hunted by visions of her mother and hunted by this mysterious creature, Carrie must find out what happened to her mother all those years ago. Her father, permanently disabled from a car crash, can't help her. Her auntie Squeaker seems to know something but isn't eager to give it all up at once. Debbie wants to help, but her controlling husband keeps getting in the way. Carrie's journey toward a truth long denied by both her family and law enforcement forces her to confront her dysfunctional relationships, thoughts about a friend she lost in childhood, and her desire for the one thing she's always wanted but could never have. This sounds so good, and I can't wait to get to this book also. And the last book I have for my Book of the Month stack is a sequel to a book that I read last year, and I'm so stoked to get to this. Once I finished the first book, I was keeping an eye out on when the second book would come out, and I was hoping Book of the Month had it because I have the first book from Book of the Month that I got, and that book is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. The first book is Legendborn, and in Legendborn, it is a retelling of King Arthur, and I don't want to give too much away on the story because I want everybody to go read it. It is a fantasy, and it's so good. This one seems so much bigger than the last one, and I just can't wait to see where these two end up in their relationship and how it goes, and I'm just excited to get to this one, and I might be doing a reading vlog with rereading Legendborn and then reading this one for the first time. If you'd like that, let me know in the comments section down below. Now let's get into all the other books I have here that I've gotten from bookstores, Walmart, and other places that I've been to. Also, some of these have come off of Pangobooks, and I will leave my account down below, so if you guys watched my unhaul video, which I will link up in the I have a bunch of those books on there right now that are for sale. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is a newer release, and I was also very excited to get this one because I love the first two, and this is the last in this trilogy, I believe, and that is Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. The Kingdom of the Feared series is about the 7 deadly sins and this witch whose twin sister ended up murdered in the first book, and so she ends up calling up one of the princes of hell, and they're on a journey to find out what happened to her sister, and so much happens along the way. And I am hoping to do a reading vlog for the 3 books, and well, obviously rereading the first 2 and then reading this one. The only thing I wish was different about this book is that Walmart would have made this more of a sticker, so then I could have taken it off. But I mean, it is what it is. I am so stoked, and this cover is stunning. All of the covers are so gorgeous. And like I said, I just can't wait to get to this. The next book in this stack is one that I recently read, and it's a graphic novel, and I've been slowly making my way through these graphic novels, and that is Heartstopper Volume 3. Oh my gosh, when I tell you Nick and Charlie both have my heart. I love them like I would my brothers or my kids, and what they go through in these books is amazing. Alice Oseman is a great author who writes about mental health issues and everything, and in this one you see more of the mental health come into play. So check for trigger warnings before you start this series. The first 2 aren't so bad, but after I went into this one, the next one's going to be heavy hitting. So that is my warning for you. If you don't know about Nick and Charlie, Charlie is an outed gay kid at his school, And one day he joins the rugby team because of Nick, and they become friends. And throughout the series, you're seeing Nick and Charlie come together in a relationship, and Nick finding out what his sexuality actually is, and just not really exploring it, but seeing his relationship with Charlie evolve. And it's so cute, and I just love it. It always puts me in such a good mood. And these are quick reads. I usually get them read in one sitting. The next book that I have here is one that I read recently and have a reading vlog getting ready to come out. I just have to edit it. And that book is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is a story that is the second book to It Ends With Us, but this is Atlas and Lily's story, and just seeing them go through, like, seeing them pick up in a relationship that started years ago when they were kids, and just watching Lily have to co-parent with her ex in the first book, and just watching all the bumps that happen along the way. But I love this book. It made me so happy after I got done reading it, and just seeing how their story comes to an end. And yeah, if you loved It Ends With Us, pick this book up, because I believe you will love this one also. The next two books are ones that I got off of Pango. I have read these books. I have the hardback to these books, but I really wanted the paperback so I can annotate them and do all that. And those books are A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Frost or A Court of Silver Flames, both by Sarah J. Maas. These are part of the ACOTAR series, and they have fairies in them, and love, and spice, and so much happens in them. I loved them the first time I read them. These were actually the first Sarah J. Maas books that I read by her, and ever since then I've wanted all her books. And I'm excited to reread this and annotate them and see what happens. Well, not really see what happens, but knowing what happens and seeing how I feel rereading them. And I can't wait for the next one to come out in this series. But yeah, and they're so stunning. Like, I love the paperback editions of these ones instead of the hardback. I have the original hardbacks. That's why I'm not annotating those ones. This is another one I got off of Pango. I've heard great things about it and can't wait to get to it. And that is Anatomy, a Love Story by Sana Schmartz. I hope I'm saying that right. It says, a gothic tale full of mystery and romance. Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Royal Edinburgh Anatomist Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first. But after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beacom's lectures for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance might be more helpful than she first thought. Because Hazel has made a deal with Dr. Beacom. If she can pass the medical examination on her own, he will allow her to continue her medical career without official lessons, though. Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need corpses to study. Luckily, she's made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living. But Jack has his own problems. Strange men have been seen skulking around cemeteries, his friends are disappearing off the streets, and the dreaded Roman fever, which wiped out thousands a few years ago, is back with a vengeance. Nobody important cares until Hazel. Now Hazel and Jack must work together to uncover the secrets buried not just in unmarked graves, but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. I am so excited to get to this one, and I'm hoping I love it, because like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about it. The next book on this list is one I don't know much about, but it looked really good, and I'm probably going to read it next year during Halloween if I don't pick it up before that, and that is Don't Go to Sleep by Bryce Moore. And I don't know much about this, I loved the cover when I saw it at Walmart. It says, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. This sounds really good, and now I kind of want to pick it up and read it, but we'll see. And I can't wait to get to this one also. The next book on this list is one that I've heard a little bit on BookTube about, but don't know much about it. And I know it's a romance. I think it's a second chance romance. And that book is Before We Were Strangers, a love-hate love story by Renee Carlino. And it says, a misconnection, a second chance at love. To the green-eyed lovebird, we met 15 years ago, almost to the day, when I moved my stuff into the NYU dorm room next to yours at senior house. You called us fast friends. I like to think it was more. We lived it on nothing but the excitement of finding ourselves through music. You were obsessed with Jeff Buckley, photography. I couldn't stop taking pictures of you, hanging out in Washington Square Park, and all the weird things we did to make money. I learned more about myself that year than any other, yet somehow it all fell apart. We lost touch the summer after graduation when I went to South America to work for National Geographic. When I came back, you were gone. A part of me still wonders if I pushed you too hard after the wedding. I didn't see you again until a month ago. It was a Wednesday. You were rocking back on your heels, balancing on that thick yellow line that runs along the subway platform, waiting for the F train. I didn't know it was you until it was too late, and then you were gone. Again, you said my name. I saw it on your lips. I tried to will the train to stop just so I could say hello. After seeing you, all of the youthful feelings and memories came flooding back to me, and now I've spent the better part of a month wondering what your life is like. I might be totally out of my mind, but would you like to get a drink with me and catch up on the last decade and a half? M. This sounds so good, and I'm excited to get to this one, and I'll probably save it more for February around Valentine's Day. The next book I have here is a newer release, and I'm going to be doing a reading vlog very soon with these 3 books, and I've never read one in this trilogy, and this book is The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I haven't read the first one, so I'm not going to read what the synopsis of this one is, but what I know, it's kind of like a Knives Out meets Clue, and I've heard it's really good, and I have such high hopes for this series. The next book I have here is one that I've heard mixed reviews about, but want to give my own thoughts on it, and that is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. It says, wanted one fake boyfriend, practically perfect in every way. I've heard this is kind of like Red, White, and Royal Blue, so I'm excited to read this because I love that book, and I want to see what happens in this one and see if I like it. These next 2 books are graphic novels, and I read the first one 2 months ago and enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read these next 2 because they are Hades and Persephone retellings, and those are Lore Olympus Volume 2 and Lore Olympus Volume 3. Like I said, it's a Hades and Persephone graphic novel story, and I really enjoyed the first one. I will say these aren't really for kids. They're more new adult graphic novels, and I'm excited to see where these stories go and what happens because the stories of Hades and Persephone is amazing, and I've been reading a lot of retellings about their love story. Next book I'm going to talk about is also another one by Alice Oseman, and that book is Loveless, and I've heard great things about this book. It says, this is the funny, honest, messy story of Georgia who doesn't understand why she can't crush and kiss and make out like so many of her friends do. Everyone seems to say that dating plus sex equal love. It's not until she gets to college that she discovers the A range from the LGBTQIA+ spectrum, coming to understand herself as asexual/aromantic. Disrupting the narrative she's been told since birth isn't easy. There are many mistakes along the way to inviting people into a newly found articulation of an always known part of your identity, but Georgia's determined to get her life right with the help of and despite the major drama of her friends. I'm excited to get to this one and to see what I think, and I'm really loving this cover of this book, and I want to see what is the hype around this one because I've heard a lot of people love this about as much as they love Heartstopper, and that one's a very popular book by this author. These next 2 that I'm going to talk about are ones that I have a reading vlog to that I will link in the eye, and I currently just got done reading them, and one is a newer release, and one of the books is Court of the Vampire Queen by Katee Robert. I absolutely love this book. I can see why some people didn't, but Katee Robert has a way of writing a reverse harem so good while incorporating vampires into it, and it was just so good. I just want to recommend it, and I'm not going to talk much about it because if you want to know my honest thoughts on this book, go check out the reading vlog because you'll get them all there. And the next book that I read, I really want to collect all the books by this author. I've read a couple of them by her, but not all her books. And this book is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This book is about Micah and, why can't I think of, or Misha and Ryan. And so they end up in grade school as pen pals because Misha's teacher believes that Ryan is a boy, and Ryan's teacher believes that Misha is a girl. They find out that one's a girl and one's a boy while writing to each other, and when the school year ends, they decide to keep on writing to each other. But they have rules. They can't look each other up on social media. They can't have phone numbers. They just have to write letters. And then one night, Misha happens to see Ryan, and she don't know it's him, and then something tragic happens that night, and then all of a sudden Misha ends up coming to Ryan's school, and he's not the boy that she thinks that she knows. And it's just such a good story, and I loved it, and I just want everybody to read it. And I understand why some people don't like it, but I loved it. And like I said, go check out my reading vlogs for these books because all my thoughts are in that. This next one is one that has been talked about on Book Talk and BookTube lately, and I wanted to know what the hype was about because the second book is supposed to come out sometime, I think next year early or later this year, and that book is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I don't know much about this, so I'm just going to read the back. It says, Knox Morgan doesn't tolerate drama, especially in the form of a stranded runaway bride. Naomi Witt is on the run, not just from her fiancé and a church full of well-wishers, but from her entire life. Although if you ask her, Naomi is riding to the rescue of her estranged hot mess of a twin, Tina, to knock them out a rough around the edges town where disputes are settled the old-fashioned way with fist and beer, usually in that order. Too bad for Naomi, her evil twin hasn't changed at all. After helping herself to Naomi's car and cash, Tina leaves behind something unexpected, the niece Naomi didn't know she had. Now she's a guardian of an 11-year-old going on 30, with no car, no money, and no plan. There's a reason this bearded bad boy barber doesn't get involved with high-maintenance women, especially not type A romantic ones. But since Naomi's life imploded right in front of him, the least Knox can do is help her out of her jam, and just as soon as she stops getting into new trouble, he can leave her alone and get back to his quiet, solitary life. At least that's the plan. This sounds so good, and I am hoping to get to it in the next couple months because, like I said, the second book is supposed to be coming out soon. If you want me to do a reading vlog on this one, let me know in the comments down below. And the last two in this stack are thriller slash slasher books. And the first one is No One Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney. I've heard some good things about this book. It says, Emma feels the fear in her chest like a raven tapping at a window. It's too late for misgivings, though. The door is open. A large male orderly stands sentry, securing her passage to the place beyond sanity, and Emma steps inside. That's all I want to know going into this, especially since it's a YA thriller, and I don't want to be spoiled for anything. And the next one is one that I've heard about on BookTube, and that is The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky, and it says, The Mary Shelley Club is a secret. Everyone gets one fear test that all members must help execute. You must perform the task assigned to you, no exceptions. You must pick your target before the test starts. That's your 8-ball. You may scare everyone else in the room, but if you don't sink your 8-ball, you failed the test. The game isn't over until everyone's had their turn. A member of the club may never be a target. A fear test ends when your target screams. This sounds really good, and I've heard great things about it, and I think it might be good for maybe Winterween, and maybe I'll read it for that, because I don't know how long I can wait to read this book. that is it for this book haul. That was huge. I need to start just doing book hauls as I get books instead of waiting until I have a big stack, because these videos end up so long and editing them is sometimes a pain, but I enjoy it because you guys enjoy my videos and watch these. But yeah, that is it for this video. Like I said at the beginning, if you enjoyed it, hit that like and that subscribe with that notification bell. And as always, keep on reading, people. Bye!